welcome to the Learning Ladder. We are back, as you can see, from our Disney holiday. We had a fantastic time, although it was very eventful, and one of those events was Hurricane Irma. Wow. We were in Central Florida and I was watching the news the whole time. Initially it was, it was going to miss us, it wasn't coming, too close. Then it completely changed direction, and up until one point it was going to hit with 100-mile-an-hour winds, which was terrifying to me, being in the UK, and we don't really have that ever. And luckily it did calm to a tropical storm, but it was still very, very scary. There were, a lot of people had their homes completely destroyed, so I'm not making light of it. It was very, very, very bad storm. But by the time it reached to us, it had calmed somewhat, although it was still, as I said, quite frightening, very loud. I've never heard winds like that before, and I don't think I ever will again, unless I'm very unfortunate to be in a hurricane again. Hopefully not. It was just very scary, and the news did particularly frighten me because it, showing what was happening to other places and everything else, and being on my own there with my daughter. We were miles away from the main building. Not miles away, I exaggerate sometimes. We were quite far away from the main building, and it was a very open space, so to walk from where our hotel room was to the main building, completely open, very limited coverage. So I did ask to swap rooms at one point because my daughter was obviously naturally afraid of the wind and everything else, but because we were going to be stuck in our room anyway for the 2 days, that wasn't the reason they said no. They said no because they had no rooms, they claimed, which is probably true. A lot of people were evacuating. There seemed to be an awful lot of people leaving our hotel, but apparently there was also obviously a lot of people coming in. So they said they had no rooms. I also think it might have been the fact that I was in, our room was just a room, whereas at the hotel we were at, all the other rooms were little condo, little apartments. I don't know how you want to describe them. It wasn't just a room, little apartments, that's how I would describe them. So I think that, and obviously they were a lot more expensive than just a room. So because I think I'd just paid room rate, they weren't going to let us move to a little apartment anyway, which I understand. I mean, they were considerably more expensive. I completely digressed. So yes, so they wouldn't let us switch rooms, and as it turned out anyway, we weren't allowed to leave our room once the restrictions were in place. So it didn't really matter the fact that I couldn't switch rooms. There was only one point before the storm hit where I did need to go back to the main building because there was water. Water seemed to be congregating outside where our room was, in this little plant area. I don't know how to describe it, little plant area, and I was worried that it was going to, because they'd anticipated that the rainfall was going to be extremely high, so I was worried that that was going to come into our room and flood it. And because they said they had no other rooms, I was worried that we were going to spend the next 4 days with a soggy carpet. So I did have to go back to the main building without that. To ask if we could have some kind of sandbag or something for our door. Initially the receptionist said yes, that would be fine. Receptionist? I'm still very jet lagged. The hotel staff said that would be fine. They said they send maintenance, but then when maintenance came, they never even knocked on the door, so no sandbag. They just used this little hoover thing to hoover up the water, and then off he went. He didn't even knock, which was kind of interesting. But then later on, someone did knock and just say we were asked if we were okay. We were fine, obviously. And then the restrictions went into place where we weren't allowed to leave our room. It turned out, they said it could be up to 48 hours, but it wasn't. It turned out that it was just until 6 p.m. the following day. So I think it was, yes, so it was 6 p.m. that evening till 6 p.m. the following day. But they did allow us out before then. We had planned for that, so I had bought some additional food from Instacart, and that's amazing. I love that company. So basically it's an app on your phone, and because I'm a UK Amazon customer, I couldn't use Amazon Prime Now for delivery because it's location based. So I was worried about how I'd get water and everything else delivered, and would I have to pay extortionate $3 a bottle prices. But I watched a Tim Ferriss, I don't know if you've heard of him, he's an author and a podcaster, and he'd mentioned in one of his videos about how he used Instacart for his holiday vacations, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, I have to Google that and see if, you know, they would deliver to me, and they did. So I used Instacart to get my water, but I'd already done that anyway prior to the hurricane, but I also used Instacart to get some additional groceries because the hotel was offering that we could buy, and there was a bit of controversy about that because someone had reported them for overcharging. I saw it in the newspaper, but they'd apparently mended the prices. By the time we went, I didn't notice that. Actually, yes, I did. They were selling small bottles of water for $2, like the little tiny ones, but apparently someone had accidentally mispriced them. So that was amended. And I luckily had already bought all my water from Instacart, so that was fine. I just bought a couple extra more bottles with my snacks credits, which unfortunately were $3, but they were the bigger bottles. It turned out we didn't really need them, and I actually ended up leaving some of my water behind. But it's a good thing to have more than there is less, obviously, in those kind of situations. I did, as I said, buy groceries. The food that the hotel offered was not the best, but, you know, it was a hurricane. You could buy a little, what they called, not survival pack, but, you know, just hurricane pack, and it had a sandwich in it, you got a little box of a couple of spoons of pasta in, two apples, obviously there was more depending on how many people there were. We bought a 2-pack, a packet of crisps, chips each, and there was supposed to be cereal bars in there, but there wasn't any in ours, and a drink, which was the water, and that was $6 each, so $12. So we bought, they were selling two, they said that was the minimum, and then they suggested you buy the double pack, but I said no, because I knew my daughter wouldn't eat the pasta anyway because it was meaty and she doesn't like stuff like that. She likes things plain. So I just bought the 1 pack and then bought some extra groceries. I keep saying from Instacart. So I bought, you know, things like, because there was no cooking facilities in our room and the fridge was microscopic. I exaggerate, yeah. It was a very small fridge, so it was just a little, you know, on the cupboard size, but it didn't have a freezer section. It was like a little shelf in there, so there was no room to store it anyway. If I would have bought their second a lot of food, so I just bought things that didn't, non-perishables. So some bread, I bought some peanut butter and some goldfish crackers. What else did I buy? Some fruit, little fruit pots, some chocolates. A hurricane, need some kind of comfort, some Oreo cookies, and some cheese. And that's what I bought, because I thought we could have cheese sandwiches, we could have peanut butter sandwiches, and we could have, you know, crackers and everything else. But as I said, it turns out that we didn't have to spend the whole time in our room anyway. Around about lunchtime on the following day, we were allowed out of our room. People were going out before then anyway, but the warnings was on the TV to say from the hotel that you weren't supposed to. They even phoned and left recorded messages saying don't leave your room, and then eventually they just said okay, you can leave your room, probably because everyone was anyway, but just be aware of debris on the ground and everything else. And there was a couple of fallen trees outside our room. I could hear during the storm lots of things hitting the window, and at one point I was quite worried that the glass was going to break. It didn't. Disney really build their buildings to last, I'll tell you that, because when I opened the door there was all kinds of debris, soil and, I don't know, little wood chippings and leaves and some sticks and everything else all outside our door that had congregated from the wind. It was slapping the window because we were on the ground floor. So yes, so there was some debris, but I think, you know, compared to what everyone else had, we were very extremely lucky. So that was eventful. Everything else went along great. Our Halloween party was cancelled because that was supposed to be scheduled for the 10th, but luckily I went to Magic Kingdom and had my tickets amended, and we went on the 12th. So that was great. We did get to go to the Halloween party because at one point I thought we weren't going to be able to go. We couldn't go to Disney for 2 days because they were closed. I have contacted my holiday company. They told us to do so anyway because apparently Disney were allowing refunds for those days, and I feel bad claiming a refund during a hurricane. It wasn't their fault, but at the end of the day, you know, we did pay for those 2 days and we couldn't go, so I have requested a refund. We'll see how long it takes. It said a minimum of 28 days to get for them to process the claim, so we'll see. Not Disney, because I didn't buy my tickets from Disney. I bought them from my tour operator company. They have to process a refund for me. Presumably they'll just claim the money back from Disney anyway. So yeah, so that's happened. What else? We did all of our dining. I did switch things around a bit because availability changed, which was great. I think because a lot of the people were going home, things freed up a bit, so I managed to get Cinderella's royal table for my daughter's birthday. Originally I couldn't get that, and I had that for the Halloween party night, which was the 10th, which again obviously was going to be cancelled, but I managed to earlier on in the week switch that, so we ended up going there on her birthday, which was lovely. We did quite a few considerable amount of character dining because I had got the dining plan. I think the dining plan is fabulous. I love it. I love the snack credits and everything else, but I would say not necessary to book a character dining every single night if you're staying there for more than a week. So we were there for 2 weeks, and the reason I say that, and this is just me, they come to your table and they're lovely and everything else, but you're trying to eat. So you're stopping to eat, and you know, you're taking pictures and everything else, and after doing that for 14 nights, it's a bit like, I just want to eat my dinner in peace. Please. And that sounds terrible because it was lovely and it was an amazing experience, but it's just something to be aware of, that they are coming to your table, which is what they're supposed to do, and they are lovely and everything else, but it is interrupting your meal. So by the time I got home, I was like, yes, I can eat my dinner in peace. So just something to be aware of. Maybe do a mix. We did character dining every night because my daughter is so little. I just thought it'd be really fun for her. Well, next trip I think I will do a mix of some character, some not, just because my feet are going numb, just because it was nice to just have a little time to eat your dinner in peace. As for the Art of Animation resort, I thought it was lovely. As I said, we were in a room. I think it is better if you can obviously stay in one of their little apartments. I never got to see one, but I think they are, you know, obviously a lot better. For us next time, would we stay in Disney property? I don't know, is the honest question. So prior to this trip, we stayed in a little apartment. It was a timeshare apartment. We didn't have a timeshare, but it was one of the things they did, but they also offered it to just, you know, private customers. So we did that last time, and it was great because it had a washer, it had a dryer, we had dishwasher, fridge, cooker. So if I didn't want to eat out, I could make our own food in the little kitchen that they had, and it was amazing because my daughter, I'm not going to say picky eater because I think it's wrong to label people, but she is particular about what she likes to eat. She's at that age where it matters. Things matter, and you know, ride colours matter. So for example, if Dumbo wasn't pink, you know, these things matter at that age when they're, you know, they're 4 or 5. You know, it's just that age that you go through these things, cup colours, plate colours, everything else. But she is particular about her food in that she doesn't like too much sauce. She's not very big on flavour, and obviously when you're eating out at buffets and things, they have to cater for everybody, and there was very little choice for kids other than mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. Those were the main things, unless your kid would be adventurous and eat, you know, very, very flavoursome food. You were quite limited. And she didn't like the chicken nuggets and the mac and cheese. I don't know what kind of sauce they use. I don't want to say for certain because they might not, but I think it looked like that Kraft kind of like cheese sauce. She didn't like it at all because she's very used to, you know, homemade macaroni cheese and everything else. I mean, it might not be that, and I don't want to label it as such, but it didn't look like the macaroni cheese that we have at home anyway. So she didn't particularly like it. So we were stuck on food, and that was one of the great things, that because we stayed in that little apartment, we were able to make our own food. So that's something to consider next time. And also we stayed in a value property. The Art of Animation is considered value, although I do think it's one of the better value ones that they have. If we were to stay in Disney property again, I would want to maybe stay in either a moderate, or if we'd saved up for a long time, a deluxe resort, just for the comparison, because I think we went for breakfast at the Polynesian and it looked a lovely resort, and we also went for dinner. Sorry, my feet are going numb. We also went for dinner at the, oh, what was that resort called? The Floridian, and that was lovely. We don't think we'd ever be able to stay there. We didn't go for dinner at the Animal Kingdom Lodge because I didn't think the food would be suitable for her, but that's another accommodation we would consider if we were to stay in Disney again. I would miss the dining plan, but I do think there are advantages to staying off property too. So yeah, so that's our little Disney update, and we are back. We are homeschooling, and I'll just do our little homeschool update in a minute. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.